Hi there, Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm doing an Ask Me Anything video. So I asked you all if you had questions that you wanted me to answer on any topic, business, life, organization, all that. I have a list of them here. There is no way I'll get through all of these, but I'm going kind of in order of what you all asked the most. And if you guys like this, be sure to let me know in the comments. And if you have a question you want me to ask in a future video, we can definitely do follow-ups on these. And I'm super excited because I just love to chat about all of these things. These are some great questions and I'm sure many people are wondering them. Now, I will say that the question that I got the most was about how to use Airtable. Can you give us an example of Airtable? Show us Airtable. I want to use Airtable for something similar. I think the reason that I got all those questions is that it was a PS in an email where Airtable was one of the 3 things I'm loving. If you're not on my email list, go ahead and click the link below. Get on it. Every time I send an email, or most times, I always have the 3 things I'm loving, which is just literally any kind of things that I've been loving. And I put that in there. I have been like, 2023 is going to be the year of Airtable. It has like been a game changer for business and even life. So that was the most frequently asked question. I'm going to do that at the end because I'm actually going to take you, do a screen tutorial so you can see. I won't be able to do an entire in-depth tutorial because that would be its own video, but I'll give you like a little sneak peek. And then hopefully if you want to see a full tutorial, let me know down below. If I have enough requests, I'll give you a full-on tutorial. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in with the first question. What shelving have you found that is good and how to install them? Oh my goodness, I can talk about this a lot. I love shelves. As you know, I have an entire shelving handbook. We can link it down below. It talks about how to organize shelves. So I get tons of questions about these shelves behind me that you see in every video. And I've tried a lot. The ones that you see behind me are from IKEA. I will put the link down below. IKEA doesn't often have them in stock, so you can check your local one. They do have some online ordering possibilities. I'm not sure if they have them in stock, unfortunately. And I haven't found a dupe that I just absolutely love for these particular shelves. I like the look of them. I like how they connect to each other. If you're I have 2 side by side. I like the trim on them, the depth, they're very sturdy. They're way better. You can go to Walmart or Target and buy those $30 shelves, which if that's what you have the budget for, go ahead and do it. But they will bow with a lot of weight and things. These won't. They're very good. But what I love about them the most is how deep they are. They're a little bit deeper. I think they're about 15 inches deep, which is, shelves range from about 12 to 15 inches, maybe even 10. I like the depth a lot because if you notice, they have multi-purpose bins on there. My favorite organizing bin. I have a video about that soon, and maybe even before this. If I publish it, I'll link to it for sure. And they don't hang off the front, and I really don't like the look of things hanging off the front. Now, some people that doesn't bug them. It bugs me, so I look for shelves that are deeper. Another shelf that I love, also from IKEA, but this one they have tons of, is the Calyx shelf. It used to be called something else, and it's like that traditional cube shelf where it's like a 15 by 15 perfect cube. Every cube is a perfect cube shape. They have them in all different configurations, like 2 by 2, 1 by 4, 4 by 4, 5 by 5 is I think the biggest that they make. And so you can get whatever size you want. They're very simple, straightforward. There's no back on them, which I guess could be a pro or a con. I think it's fine. And they just hold so much. They are, of course, really deep because they're that perfect cube, and you can find cubes anywhere. Like IKEA sells a bunch, Target has a bunch that fit in them perfectly. So you can hide stuff. You can really organize. So I love those. I would say those are my top shelves. I did find a shelf website once upon a time that offers custom shelves that I thought was very intriguing, but I didn't try it. If you guys know anything about some kind of custom shelves, because I really, like I said, I really want the depth of the shelves to be deep enough for things not to hang off. What are your best tips on keeping your bedroom clean daily? Oh, I love this question because I love keeping things clean daily. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but for keeping the bedroom clean, there is actually one kind of easy answer. I don't know if you do this already, but the thing that will be a game changer is if you get in the habit of making your bed every morning, ideally as soon as possible after you get out of it. Now, I will tell you that I don't personally, like, it's never the first thing that I do. I always go to the bathroom first. I usually get ready first. Like, I'm one of those people that when I wake up, I'm still half asleep. So it takes me a little while. So I usually don't do it first thing. But I'm working on trying to get it, like, I do it almost every day, but usually not first thing. The earlier in the day you can do it, the better. And already, I mean, even if your room is not super clean, it's going to look better when you have a made bed. And then I also just think it kind of sets the tone for your mindset of thinking like, this room is clean, I want to keep it that way. So that's like the number one tip that I have. And beyond that, I think that what happens in bedrooms and really anywhere, if there are any flat surfaces, they are clutter magnets. And so working on keeping those flat surfaces clear, sometimes you kind of have to do what I call a hard reset, where you just take a period of time, a day, an afternoon, and you say, I'm clearing this all off. I'm finding a home for every single thing on the hard surface. And then you start there, because I think if you're starting from, there's like a lot of clutter built up, it's going to be harder than if you can give yourself that fresh, clean slate and then try to keep it up every day of just putting things away. The other thing that I think I do without even thinking about it is I put things away right away. So like if I am, have an article of clothing, I don't like drape it over a chair. I don't set it somewhere. Like 90% of the time, I literally hang it up or fold it and put it away, even if I think I might wear it again. Same with makeup products. Like when I'm getting ready, I now have like a caddy. I put it on top of the sink, and then as I use it, it's just as easy to put it back where it goes as it is to set it on the counter. So just putting things away as you go. That really helps with anything. The more you can do that, the less it's going to seem like a chore and like you're really having to set aside all this extra time to do it. Okay, we had a couple questions about how to store gift bags and how many I keep, some things like that. So I'm going to talk about gift stuff storage, I guess. So I actually keep very few. I used to keep like every gift bag I ever had, every box, and that got to be overwhelming. So I just keep, handful of gift bags, maybe 5 to 10 at a time at most. I keep them usually in like a big gift bag. So like I have a gift bag of gift bags. Doesn't everyone have this? So it's not really sophisticated. I do like gift bags because of how easy they are. I always keep just plain white tissue paper on hand because it's just so versatile. It can go with anything instead of like getting tissue paper that's like really specific to the gift. I do that. And then I would recommend like you limit yourself. Like if you have a gift bag or a little spot to store them, once it's full, then get rid of, like don't add any more, or take out one that you don't love as much. Don't keep building them up. You're not going to need, or most people, I guess, are not going to need like 50 gift bags in a year. So I don't keep too many. I only keep like 4 or 5 rolls of wrapping paper. And instead of like having a whole bunch of wrapping paper, for like Christmas and having a huge variety, I just get 2 or 3. We have less variety, but then we use them up. And so I don't have just so much excess gift wrap. And also I have realized for myself, especially for like things like birthdays, especially if we're going to a party, maybe if it's my own kid, and so I've got a few gifts and I'm going to set aside some time to wrap them, then I might use wrapping paper. Other than that, we're always using gift bags. We're never using wrapping paper. And the other thing that I will say, this may not be like the wisest or the most budget conscious thing that I do, but I stopped beating myself up about like, if we have a birthday party to go to, I might go the day before to Target and I will buy the gift bag, and sometimes the tissue paper. It just keeps it simple. And it's, you're going to spend a couple extra dollars, but that might be worth it to you, not to have to store tons of gift bags. And sometimes my kids even enjoy picking out the wrapping. Like they're like, oh, they'll love this gift bag. And so like that can be part of the fun and part of the process. And then for cards, I have a Cricut Joy. I've talked about it a lot. It's like that tiny little cutting machine, and it literally takes 2 minutes to make a card on there. And I always have the cards and inserts. So I would use that. I don't need to keep cards on hand. I've also seen people use like those Alpha carts from the Container Store. I've seen a lot of people use over the door organizers. If you have like not like a bifold closet door, but like a regular one, you can put those, and you can store almost all of your gift wrapping supplies in there. So you're not going to need a ton of space. Another good place where I used to store it was when I didn't have like extra storage areas, was like under the bed. Fits really nicely in one of those tubs, because like the rolls of wrapping paper are really long, so they are a little bit trickier, I feel like, to store than some other things. This is a question about my business. Someone wants to know how I stay consistent with my newsletters, sending them twice a week, and how I come up with such great content. And all right, I love this question. I also kind of laugh a bit because it has become, sometimes it is a struggle to come up with great content. I have been doing this now for about 10 and a half years. The first several years, I published one piece of content. It started out as a blog post. Now it's a video every week. And then I sent one newsletter a week. But for the past 3 years, I think we've sent 2 newsletters every week, one video and like piece of content, and then a second one that we call like the heartfelt, that's like more like just a written kind of encouraging story. And after 10 and a half years, I sometimes feel like I've said it all. I'm like, what new thing is there that I can say about organizing? Because I've said a lot. But the consistency thing, okay, I couldn't love this question more. I will tell you this. You might think that I'm a super consistent person, and what you see is really consistent, right? I'm not. I struggle a ton with that. Like, I love setting things up. Like, I love organizing the closet. Maintaining it is another story. I love setting up a system. Maintaining it is another story. I am not naturally good at that. The business has actually helped me a lot because I've needed to be consistent, and I think it's kind of flowed into other areas. But the reason I was so consistent is I said from day one when I started my business, I realized, like, if you have ever run an online business or looked into it, there's 8 million things that you can be doing, and there's new things that crop up every single day. Like, you know, you can have a blog and you can SEO it and you can be on YouTube, and then on YouTube you can also do shorts, and then there's Facebook and there's paid Facebook ads, and there's Pinterest that you need to pin to like 1 million times a day, and then there's TikTok. Well, that's the new thing, and you can get lots of traffic from there. Oh, and there's Instagram, and you need to do stories and posts and reels, and oh, you need to create your own products, and like all these things. And you can't do them all. And of course I knew that I couldn't do them all. I was only one person. So I realized that the most important thing was going to be to nurture my email list and create one of those. And so I said, no matter what, if nothing else happens in the business, and at the time I started my business, I also had like a day job. I said I was going to send out that newsletter every Wednesday, and I haven't missed a day, a week in 10 and a half years. Because I just made that commitment. But a lot of other things weren't happening all the time, but that was the one commitment. I'm like, no matter what, I'm going to get this done. And when it's such a non-negotiable, it really helps to avoid playing games with yourself, because I know that myself and everyone tends to put things off, to procrastinate, to do even productive procrastination where I'm like, okay, I need to write my newsletter, but I'd rather like, you know, organize the shelf over there or something. And I don't play as many games because I know it is happening. Like, and no one else, you know, in the beginning I had no team. It was just me. No one else is going to do it. So I have to do it. So it just helped because I just knew it was going to happen. I will also say, you know, in those early years when was just me, not everyone was my best work. It truly wasn't. Like, there were times when, like, you know, my babies had been sick. I hadn't been feeling well. Things had been crazy. The newsletter goes out on Wednesday. It's Tuesday night after I get the kids in bed, and I'm like, what can I write? And it wasn't my best work, but I think consistency is going to help you, is the thing that will even help you create better work. Like, there is no substitute for the more videos you create, the better your videos are going to be. The more blog posts you write, the better they're going to be. The more newsletters you write. So it was just the non-negotiable, really the only non-negotiable my business has had, and that made all the difference. So I think picking the one thing that you think is going to move the needle next and making it non-negotiable. Now, for me, it's been the same for 10 and a half years. For someone else, you might say, like, for this year, I'm going to focus on this, and maybe you could have a different one another year, but that's really my secret. And it didn't look perfect. It didn't do it at the same time. And then in recent times, team has been the secret to everything. Like, there's a ton of stuff I used to do that I don't do now, so that's like freed up my time, and that of course makes it easier. It also makes it easier in terms of, it was actually harder when I first started because there weren't a lot of people on my email list. You know, you start from zero, right? So not a lot of people were expecting it. I didn't have a team. Like, I wouldn't let anyone down if I didn't do it. It was really a promise to myself. That was almost harder because now I have a lot of people expecting it. So like, people would notice if I didn't send it. And then also I would let my team down because, you know, we've committed to doing this and they're expecting it. Like, they edit the videos, so they're expecting me to send it, you know, over. So we have to work ahead, and it just made it more like, almost more like a real job, you know, quote unquote, where someone is expecting something for you, even though it's my business. It's still like people, you know, my team expects things from me. And so that has made it like feel like there is even more of a non-negotiable. And that actually brings with it a lot of built-in accountability, which of course accountability in anything helps. How do you decide what craft stuff to get rid of? This person says they have no room for anything anymore. Love this question. This can be tricky. The first thing I will say is that I've kind of changed my philosophy on how I store and how I buy craft supplies these days. I used to want to have everything available to me at my home. So I would buy all sorts of like supplies kind of just in case. Like I didn't know what they were for. I would just buy the supplies. Well, as time has gone on, I realized that wasn't a very efficient way to do it. I don't craft like every single day. And so instead, I like to decide what project I'm going to make and then buy the supplies for that. And that's really more fun. And also, I can get exactly what I want. I'm not trying to make like this shade of brown isn't quite the one that I want. Like I'm getting exactly what I want. And a lot of times when I find an online tutorial, they share exactly what they used. And I like to use the same thing because I want to make sure that mine turns out the same. So that's what I do instead is for the consumable supplies like the paper and things like that, I will buy what I need for a project. And I do buy a little extra just in case. You never know when you're going to mess up or something like that. I keep a few basics like white and black cardstock, for example, on hand. I also, when it comes to other craft supplies, I don't collect everything. For example, I've recently started doing Stampin' Up, which is like that rubber stamping, card making, and things like that. Years and years ago, I was into that and I bought like every color of ink. You know, I had everything and tons of stamp sets and all this. And I spent more time organizing my stuff than actually using it. And so this time, I have like maybe 10 ink pads and maybe like 8 stamp sets. And so I would rather have fewer that I actually use more. So like I'm going to make more cards out of this one. And also I like to keep it up to date. They always come out with new things. And I want to always have room to buy like one of my new things, like one of the favorite new things that's coming out. And I also let go of them pretty freely. Like I don't look at it as in like, I'm going to buy this stamp set and I want it to last me forever. I look at it and I'm like, I want to make a few cards with it and then get rid of it. Like I just hold it with a really loose hand. I think that has helped a lot. Now this one can be tricky because a lot of us crafters like to do a lot of different crafts. I know I do. I don't just do one crafty thing. But the fewer crafts you can do, the less supplies you're going to need. Because if you're doing like all these different kinds of crafts, like painting and stamping and chalking and crickets and silhouettes and sewing, and when you're sewing, you're making clothes and you're making felt food and you're making doll clothes. Like, you know, the more stuff you create, the more things you're just going to need. Like you can't sew without fabric kind of thing. So the more you can pare down to just a few things that you really like. So for example, I don't sew at all. No sewing machine, no sewing. That's just a thing I don't do. So I could, but I just didn't want to have all that stuff on hand. So instead, I've pared down to just a few of the crafts that I enjoy the most. Would you please share tips on organizing costume jewelry? Yes, I love organizing jewelry. I have not a ton, but a little bit. I have found like I just love jewelry because it goes a long way to making an outfit complete. And it never, you never outgrow it. It always fits. Like I do love jewelry. So I have a few tips. It kind of depends on the space and how much space you have, but I love command hooks. I know I've talked about them in several videos where you can put the hook on your wall and it doesn't damage the wall. And in recent years, they've come out with these, they're called crystal command hooks. So they're clear. They even have a clear thing to stick it on the wall and it looks like a little crystal really hanging there. So it's kind of pretty. And I have a ton of those hooks and I put my necklaces on there. I love that. You could also put bracelets on there and that's good even if you don't have a lot of space. You can kind of reclaim some lost wall space for storage. And then I have an earring tree from Amazon that was really cheap that I put a lot of my earrings in. And then I additionally have some of the Container Store sent me a long time ago. And what's funny is I didn't know, like I'd never noticed it or particularly had it on my wish list, but when they sent it to me, I'm like, wow, this thing is really useful. And now I love it. But it's a stackable jewelry box. Again, I love that because you can grow it as much as you need to, just keep stacking. And it has a lid on the top so things don't get dusty and it has little compartments inside and you can buy different ones with different amounts of compartments. So like if you wanted to put necklaces or bracelets or little earrings, so I put some of my earrings in there as well. I will say that is a less budget option, but if you want to invest in it, it is a really well made and really nice, and is going to keep your jewelry very organized. Oh, this is the sweetest question. She says, "Hi Laura, you're a bright light in my life, always honest, moving forward, laughing, encouraging. How? Do you need downtime? If so, how much is enough?" Oh my goodness. So the first thing I feel like I need to say is that when you see anyone online, myself included, when you watch my videos, you are seeing like 20 minutes of my week. And so while I am, bright and encouraging and things like that on videos and all of our writings, we want to be a place that is uplifting, that you come and you're going to get encouraged, you're going to feel motivated, you're going to feel part of a community. But it doesn't mean that I walk around like that 24/7. I have my moments of feeling discouraged or sad or anything, like anyone else. I would say in general, I don't know, I'm a pretty positive person. I tend to always look for the silver lining in things. I think that helps a lot. You're like this genuine, being grounded and being genuinely positive and grateful. And I mean, I feel like everyone says this when this question is asked, but I think they say it because it's so true. Like the whole gratitude thing of looking for what you're grateful for, and just focusing on that, I think that helps a ton with staying positive. And then as far as downtime, oh yes, absolutely I need downtime. I would say for about the first 30 years of my life, I had very little and I didn't really need it. I mean, I would just be scheduled all day long and it was great. I don't think I really did many downtimey kind of things. Like I was, working, I was going to school, we'd have, things scheduled a lot of the times. I would, or if I didn't, I was cleaning or grocery shopping or cooking or, doing something useful like that. I didn't watch hardly any TV. I didn't even read a lot of books. I don't know. I just, and I never felt overwhelmed or stressed. So I think it just kind of, you have to gauge based on how you're feeling and what you need. However, fast forward to the last about, 5 to 10 years, and I have needed loads more downtime. Like I almost feel like I'm a different person. I'm like, what happened to that person back there? And now this person, I'm a person who actually, I just need the downtime. And at first it was almost frustrating because I can't do as much as I could when I didn't need it. But I think it's better to work with it and realize what you actually do need. A couple reasons for that is I now have kids and they require you to be on like 24/7. I mean, even when your kids are not physically with you, you're still responsible for them. So you still feel that weight of like having this person that you're constantly responsible for. And, when they're with you, they just need things 24/7. They have 24/7 questions. You're making decisions all the time about how to best guide them and help them because, your goal is obviously that they grow up to be good, responsible members of society. And I feel like the weight of that was a lot for me and just made my whole life, I don't know. I just felt more mental, I guess, things that I needed to do and responsibility. And so that meant that I was just more easily like actually stressed and I needed a little bit more time. I needed just some quiet, just some time, like that. I have in the past 5-ish years had a chronic illness that flares up pretty bad from time to time. And that also requires me to have a lot of downtime. I'm in a lot of pain. And although it's not so bad most of the time that I can't function, when I do function, like when I'm going about doing my normal activities, it is taking everything I have. Like it takes 5 times more energy to do something when I'm in a lot of pain than it would when I was feeling good. And so my energy is just completely depleted. So like sometimes I will come home, and I will just get in bed from like 5 to 6 p.m. I just need that time. So I'll watch TV. I watch way more TV than I ever did. I like watching things that are not stressful. So like Hallmark movies, like that kind of feel good. I read a lot more books. And I just generally have a lot more downtime. And yeah, I think you just have to go with what you need. And these days, with the past few months, my chronic illness having flared up pretty bad, I get downtime almost every day. Usually a few minutes to an hour or two. I also have a wind down routine. It used to be that I could like do whatever, like work out right up until I went to bed, and I would go to bed, go right to sleep and have no problem. Now I need to wind down. So I build in like a good hour when I put my kids to bed. I put myself to bed. That doesn't mean I go to sleep at the same time they do, but like I get myself in bed and then I have that time to just relax, unwind, be at peace. So that's kind of my whole downtime situation. I will kind of address this question too, because it kind of goes along with that. Hey, Laura, I would like to ask you about your health conditions. Maybe you can make a video on your journey and give advice. So I obviously do not have time right now to go into the whole entire story. I'll probably do like something on Instagram or something and link to it somewhere at some point. Oh man, and advice. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I will just like, if I had any advice to give, I don't know. I feel like I'm still in the middle of it and I'm still figuring it out. And like some days I have good days. I mean, I have good days health-wise, but I mean like mentally, you know, I'm like feeling on top of it. I'm like, yeah, this is hard, but we can do this and it's all going to be good. And then other days I am just like sobbing in the corner of my closet. Like how is life even fair? How am I going to, you know, like, I'll just be real. Like it's like that. And I think just recognizing, I think for most people, it's probably, you know, there's just no clear-cut answer. For me, you know, where I am at this point in the journey, I don't have a lot of answers as far as like what's actually causing my problems, how to heal them. And I've been to doctor after doctor after doctor, paid so much money, so many tests, so many diets, so many supplements. If you've been on a similar journey, you probably understand, and we still don't have any answers. You know, so then part of it is like just learning to manage what you have. Like I said before, I think gratitude helps a lot. And then the other thing that helped me was just when I stopped expecting myself to be able to do what I could when I was well. I think that was a game changer. Before I would put all this pressure on myself and I would almost get like literally just like angry at this, like, I don't know, disease. Like, I didn't know, there wasn't a person to be angry at, but I was angry at something. And I would just be like, I can't believe that this is stealing so many things from my life, that I can't do this and I can't do this. And I want to be like 100% there for my kids and I want to be this. And when I realized like that is just not possible for me right now, and I should stop expecting it, I feel like that helps a lot. Like you just have to be realistic with what to expect. But like I said, I'll probably do another video or something where I go more in depth, because I do know every time I talk about this, I do get a lot of emails and comments. I know a lot of you are dealing with similar things with yourself or family members. So I know it can be helpful to know that you are not alone and just to see what works for other people. Do you have any tips or hacks for maintaining a space once it's organized? Oh my goodness. So the challenge with organizing is maintaining. That is the challenge. I honestly believe the organizing is the easy part. It's the maintaining that is the challenge and the more important part. So there isn't like a magic formula. The first thing I would say is maintenance starts when you actually organize it. So organize it in the way that you or whoever uses the space can actually keep up with. And what I mean by that is you have to organize with your own personality. So for me personally, this doesn't apply necessarily to other members of my family, but for me, I will keep it up if it is like beautifully and perfectly organized. So like this, I always keep up with it. That's never messy. And even though for some people you might be like, well, that's really hard. I have to see what bin it is. I have to take out the bin. You know, sometimes there's two stacked on top of each other. So it's a little bit of effort, but I find that I go through the effort if it's organized and I love it. Versus if it was just kind of so organized, it wasn't so beautiful, then it's harder for me to go through the effort. So I've realized for myself, you know, that style of organizing, I will 98% of the time just keep up with it naturally. And the more organized it is, the more weird it seems to like not put things away. So that's one thing. Now your style may be totally different. You may be like, oh my goodness, it just seems like so much trouble. Like you might do better if you had open bins on that shelf so you could just toss things in, or less micro organized, like less categories. You have to do kind of what works for you. The other thing about keeping the space maintained is labeling. The more you label, I don't know why, but you greatly increase the chances that you or anyone else in your household is going to put it where it goes. Like for example, it would just feel wrong for me to put like, you know, my video equipment in the bin that said stickers. Like it just feels weird. Whereas if it wasn't labeled, I think I would get lazier. So labeling helps a lot. It just brings a lot of clarity. I think it just kind of trains you to put things away. So that's another thing you can do when you are organizing to help. And of course, you know, making things as easy as possible and things that you access the most, making them easily accessible. If you have to go through a bunch of steps, you know, to put your coat away, which is something you wear every day in the winter, it's going to be really hard. You know, so I put those things I almost never wear, harder to get to, make things easy to get to, and then just habits. Just getting in the habit of putting it away. And I know that's hard. Like it's hard for me too. One of the things you can do is also work on specific times. Like when we come in the door is one of the times when we tend to have the most junk that we just set wherever. I do the same thing. I'm just like coming in, I just throw it all. For us, as our kitchen island is like right there as soon as we walk in, I just dump it all on there. And then that's very frustrating because then you end up with this like island that you want to be clear and it's like got all this junk. So one of the things that I did is like in the entryway, I put in like hooks and places for like my purse and my coat. So if you have them easily available, and then just really work on that time. So I'm not saying that I have to be on 24/7 and be constantly worrying about where to put things. It's just those like literally 2 minutes, 3 times a day that we come in the door. If I can just be vigilant, then I'm going to take care of 70% of it. So look for those like moments in your day where you can be hyper vigilant, because those will pay huge dividends and you tend to gather clutter. And then also doing like clutter hotspots throughout the day. So where does clutter tend to pile up? Set an alarm on your phone. We're going to clean this 3 times a day. If it's a kitchen island, 3 times a day, I'm going to go through, because if you wait until it gets to be huge, then you do 2 things. First of all, it's overwhelming and frustrating. Like it can be really frustrating. Also, you become clutter blind. So you just, there's always clutter there. You just stop noticing it as much. It stops bothering you. And then it's really hard to get back control of. All right, now let's dive into the question about Airtable. I am just going to briefly show you on the screen a couple of my Airtables. A lot of you asked about the health tracking symptoms, so I'll show you that one, and then I'll show you the craft supply one. The business one, I think, would be kind of hard because it organizes like all of our sales pages and checkouts, and it's very techy. And most of you probably don't have that, but suffice it to say, it does work well for businesses and organizing things, especially, one of the things that Airtable is different than a spreadsheet is like static. Like you have this like list of things on the spreadsheet, but Airtable is a database, which means things can relate to other things in the table. And when you hear that, I think it's kind of hard without an example, but that means like when I have a stamp set, I can link it to the matching die set. For example, for like crafting. Or when I have a project, I have a list of projects I want to do, I can link those to the supplies that are required. So you can kind of link things to each other, and they can have a relationship. Also, the views that you can have in the databases are just far and away better than a spreadsheet. The way you can sort, group, look at a gallery with photos. And also the other thing that is a game changer compared to like a Google Sheet or even Excel is that images show up in there, so you can actually see them versus some spreadsheets, you're just not going to be able to see the images, and that I think is really helpful for visual things. All right, so what you're seeing here is my personal Airtable. I have a different one for my business that has way more. This is my habit tracking. I just duplicated it for sharing, so I didn't have to share, TMI information. This is what it looks like. I know it looks complicated, but it is actually way easier, and I'm going to show you when I get to the form view how I make it so easy for myself to do. So first of all, I want to point out that I've been now doing this for 50 days without missing a day. That never happened in any other way. And these are very simple things, like what time I got out of bed. I just think back. I do it every evening at 8:30 p.m. Once I'm in bed, I can do it on my phone, my iPad, my laptop, whatever. That's when I do it. Record this and I just kind of think back. I don't get too caught up in it, how long I slept. And then the other thing that makes this really helpful for myself is I'm tracking different triggers and symptoms, so we can see if there's any kind of relationship, because you forget over time, like was my pain really bad when I was eating a lot of dairy, or was it when I was stressed, or all those kind of things. So you can track whatever on earth you want. I would tell you, don't track it if you don't care about it. Only track what you care about. I apparently care about a lot of things, so that's why I'm doing it that way. But also, instead of having this be an open-ended question where I have to type things in, which I hate, or write things in, I instead made these scales. So it is on a scale of like 1 to 10. So that's how I rate some of these things. This one you can see they're blank. So 1 always means like perfect. Because I didn't start tracking that until here. And I was like, actually, that might be a useful thing to track. So I added that in and started tracking that. And then you'll see how these are all just levels, so I don't have to overthink it. I do have one open-ended field. If I want to explain my abdominal pain more, this is a field to do that. But if I don't want to and I just want to say, okay, it was about a 3 today, I can totally do that. started tracking how the day was symptom-wise, because everybody says your goal is to get to more good days than bad days. And I'm like, well, I'm actually going to track that and see if we can make some good progress. And then how much dairy, I actually made it subjective rather than trying to calculate every time I eat dairy and try to add up how much. That stresses me out, to be honest. Try to track all of my food. So instead I just look back over the day and I'm like, either 1 would mean no dairy at all, 2 means just a little bit of trace dairy in things, and then we're going up from there. So like these were lots and this was less, and I just don't get too caught up if it's perfect, because obviously if I had a lot, I'm not going to say 1 or 2, and if I had very little, I'm not going to say 9 or 10. So we're getting close enough. This is number of eggs, how many ounces of diet soda. Case it's like the sweetener in there is triggering something. I do my face redness and texture because I have really bad rosacea, so I want to see if anything impacts that. These are the supplements that I'm taking. So like if I took Allegra, how many milligrams of magnesium oxide, that varies. Sometimes I take 250, sometimes I take 400. And these are all of my different supplements that I'm taking, and I check off when I took them. Just so we have a very clean record. I know when I start different things. That's important in case something happens, like health symptoms happens as a result of that. And these are some other health habits I'm going to start to implement gradually. So we've got that going on. I can track workouts, different things like that, and just general notes. But here's what makes it so amazing. There's an entry view. So this is the view of what it looks like when I actually come to enter it. So if I click share form, I can copy this link and I can go to the form and I can actually fill out, like if I was filling out today, I would type in the day, I would pick the date, put in the time, put in the duration, just kind of literally click, and it's very easy to do on your phone too. That's how I do it. And then I click submit. I just click, did I take these things? And that makes it really easy. And I didn't stop there. I took it a step further. So I set it up to where it emails me and texts me automatically every day at 8:30 p.m. with a link to the form. So it's so easy. I just open my email, I click the link on my phone, and I do it that way, and it's sending me the link every day. So the form views are absolutely amazing and make this, for me, a game changer. The other thing that I use it for personally, and I'm not quite done with this, but I've made a lot of progress, is my craft supplies. It helps me not to overbuy, to know what I have, to know what I want to use. These are all my chalk transfers. One thing to also note, and these are all my stamps, you can expand the views. You can also link it. So here I link it if it has a matching die, like this gumball set also has a matching die. And in addition to that, you can do a gallery view. So now I can see all my stamps by images as well. You can control what shows up down here. I just want to see if it has a die. So this way I know everything that I have in terms of the Stampin' Up! Colors. If I have them, if it just literally doesn't exist, like they don't make a blend in this color, if it's retired, and if I want it, I can mark it with want. So that way I will be able to tell like basically what my wish list is. And we have the dies. And again, they link back to the stamp sets, designer series paper, and sometimes paper coordinates with stamp sets and dies. And so again, I've linked it back there. My chalk surfaces, and this is one that I was just like, I had no idea how many of these I had. So even knowing what I have helps me make better decisions on what to use and make, what colors of ink I have. Again, I have 5 jars of this. I had no idea. So I can be more strategic when I'm purchasing, and then all the transfers. This is the one that I have way more than this. And then for projects, whenever I have a project, like if I'm browsing Facebook, if something pops up on my YouTube, wherever I am, if I see something that I think I want to make, I'm adding it here, giving it a little title, a description if I want to. Is it chalking or card making? Is it on deck? That means I'd want to do it next. A link to the project if it has one, or maybe it's just an image. And then I can also link up, and I haven't gotten all these columns in here yet, the supplies used. So that way, like, I feel like I see things and I never remember which ones I want to do. So now that I have that on there, it is so much easier, and I am constantly able to add to this as I come to things that I want to make. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what you could do with it. I'll also briefly show you our business. This is actually, I'll show you here. We have a lot of different, we have way more things going on in the business side of things. This is not just me building this. This is for me and my entire team. So we have a lot of information we want to categorize. Now, if you don't own your own business, you're probably not going to find this all that useful, but our social media one is where we are building up huge backlogs of posts that we're then going to post over time. You can see how many different things we have, different post categories. We're able to sort by category, all these different views. We can see by gallery what all we have here. We're also tracking how they did and all of that. So that's amazing. And then this one is our biggest game changer. This is what started me down the whole Airtable. We have so many different products and freebies, and it gets a little bit out of control when one of them has a typo and we update it. Well, where's all the places that we need to like put in the new one, or where do we find the logo for that and all of that? So this is like really getting everything organized all together. And so for every product, we know every page that it's on, every checkout that it's on, every sequence that delivers it. If you are into, like, if you're a fellow business owner and you have the same type of business, you know how valuable this is. Every entry form, so every entry point that someone can come in, we have all of those forms there, all of our visual automations, all of our blog content is listed on there, and a few different things like this also includes all of our regular emails, all of our Saturday emails, all of our ConvertKit tags, of which we have 1,262. So we have just basically everything is now organized and we can relate it to each other. So that's just a little quick overview of what you can do. Now, like I said, if you're interested in a tutorial, be sure to let me know in the description down below, and also let me know like how might you want to use it, so I could tailor a tutorial to what you actually might want to use it for. Now, go ahead and let me know if you want me to do like a full Airtable tutorial. I can totally do that. Let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have a question that you want me to answer in a future video, put it down below. We'll be gathering those up. And if you guys want me to, I will definitely do another video. Meanwhile, go ahead and check out my channel. I have tons of videos on all different types of organizing, decluttering, planning, time management, all those kinds of things.